Something just shifted, and most gun owners haven't caught it yet. No breaking alerts, no dramatic headlines, no sudden announcements that force everyone to stop and pay attention. Just a quiet rule change, buried inside technical updates, revised interpretations, and procedural language that most people never read in full. And yet, if you've been around this space long enough, you already understand something critical. The loud changes get attention. The quiet ones change everything. Because when a rule doesn't look dangerous, that's usually when it is. And this ATF rule change in 2026 is exactly that kind of shift. A change that doesn't feel urgent, but is at first glance, nothing about this feels like a major turning point. There's no immediate restriction on ownership, no sudden limitation that stops people from buying what they've always bought. Everything still feels familiar, and that's exactly why so many gun owners are overlooking it, because the assumption is simple. If nothing obvious changed, then nothing important changed. But that assumption is dangerous, because this rule doesn't operate on the surface level. It operates underneath, where definitions, classifications, and interpretations live. And once those change, everything built on top of them starts to shift, not instantly in a visible way, but instantly in a functional way. Where this actually began to understand what's happening now, you have to look at the broader pattern that's been building over the past few years. The focus hasn't just been on firearms themselves, it's been on how they're defined, what qualifies as what, where the lines are drawn, how certain configurations are interpreted under existing law. Instead of rewriting the entire system, regulators have been refining the edges of it, adjusting definitions, clarifying gray areas, expanding how certain terms are applied, and each of those adjustments, while small on its own, adds up over time. This rule is part of that progression. It doesn't introduce something entirely new. It changes how existing categories are understood and enforced, what actually changed, and why it matters now. Here's where things become serious. This rule focuses on how certain firearm configurations, components, and transaction types are evaluated under current law, not new law, but existing law, applied differently. That distinction matters more than most people realize, because when enforcement changes without the law itself changing, it creates a gap between what people think is compliant and what is actually being enforced. And that gap is where problems happen, because what used to be considered acceptable under one interpretation may now fall into a different category under the updated one. Not because you changed anything, but because the framework around it did. And that's what makes this kind of rule so impactful. It doesn't require you to act differently for your situation to change. Why this is hitting so fast? In the past, major changes often came with long rollout periods, time for adjustment, time for clarification. But this kind of shift doesn't work that way, because the infrastructure is already in place. Dealers already follow federal guidance. Background check systems are already integrated. Compliance standards already exist. So when interpretation changes, the system adjusts immediately. There's no delay between the rule and the impact. Transactions begin to reflect the new interpretation right away. Approvals may take longer. Questions arise where they didn't before. Certain configurations get flagged differently. And to the average gun owner, it feels like something changed overnight, because in practice, it did. The confusion problem that comes with it. Here's where things become complicated. When rules change quietly, clarity doesn't spread evenly. Different sources interpret the change differently. Online discussions mix facts with assumptions. Some people overreact. Others dismiss it entirely. And in between, there's confusion. That confusion creates risk. Because in a system like this, not understanding the rule doesn't protect you from it. And relying on outdated information can put you in a position you didn't expect. The hidden direction behind this shift. Now step back for a moment, because this rule isn't just about one change. It reflects a broader direction. A move toward interpretation-based regulation, where the law itself remains largely the same, but how it's applied evolves over time. That approach allows adjustments to happen faster, without requiring entirely new legislation, without the same level of public attention, and without the delays that come with major legal changes. which means this isn't just a one-time update, it's part of a pattern. Why this matters more than big headlines. Most gun owners focus on visible changes, new laws, major restrictions, high-profile debates, but in reality, the smaller technical adjustments often have a wider reach because they affect everyday interactions, buying, selling, transferring, configuring, the things people do regularly without thinking twice. And when those processes change, the impact spreads quickly, even if it doesn't make headlines. The behavioral shift. This creates another layer most people don't consider, is how this changes behavior. When rules become less clear, people become more cautious. They hesitate before making purchases. They double-check processes. They delay decisions until they're confident. That caution affects the entire market. Slower transactions, more questions, less fluid movement, and over time, that changes how the industry operates, what smart gun owners are doing right now. The people who are paying attention to this change aren't panicking, but they are adjusting. They're reviewing current guidance, making sure they understand updated definitions, paying closer attention to how their firearms are classified, because right now, the advantage isn't speed, it's awareness, understanding how the system works today, not how it worked last year. What could come next? If this trend continues, you can expect more adjustments like this. Not necessarily dramatic changes, but incremental ones, each one refining how existing rules are applied, each one shifting the boundaries slightly. And over time, those small shifts create a larger transformation, a system that looks familiar on the surface, but operates differently underneath. The long-term impact. Over the next few years, this approach could reshape how firearms are regulated in subtle but meaningful ways, not through sweeping changes, but through accumulated adjustments, where definitions evolve, interpretations expand, and enforcement adapts accordingly. And for gun owners, that means one thing. Staying informed becomes more important than ever, because the rules you think you understand may not be the rules being applied today. Most people expect major changes to be obvious. They expect clear warnings, public debates, headlines that make everything easy to understand. But the reality is, the most impactful shifts often happen quietly, hidden in definitions, buried in interpretation, and felt only after they take effect. This ATF rule change in 2026 is one of those shifts. Not loud, not dramatic, but significant.